Reading now from the Gospel of Jesus Christ according to Luke, chapter 17, verses 11 through 19. As Jesus made his way to Jerusalem, he went along the border between Samaria and Galilee. He was going into a village when he was met by 10 men suffering from a dreaded skin disease. They stood at a distance and shouted, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." Jesus saw them and said to them, "Go and let the priests examine you." On the way, they were made clean. When one of them saw that he was healed, he came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself to the ground at Jesus' feet and thanked him. The man was a Samaritan. Jesus spoke up. "There were 10 who were healed. Where are the other 9? Why is this foreigner the only one who came back to give thanks to God?" And Jesus said to him, "Get up and go. Your faith has made you well." A veteran minister was talking to a young candidate for ministry. And in the course of their conversation, the minister asked, "Would you say Christianity is essentially a demand or an offer?" Immediately came the answer, "A demand." "Well, I think it's a demand." The older minister made no reply, but looked at the young man as if to say, "Think it through. Consider it from every angle." After a few minutes, the young man spoke again. "Well, I think it's a demand and an offer, a combination of both." Still, the minister made no direct reply. The moments dragged on as he calmly rubbed his arthritic hands in a gesture of composure and confidence. Then the young man spoke up. "I see what you're getting at," he said. "Christianity begins with a divine offer, an offer of grace, and I guess that's what it is, basically all the time." The minister's eyes lit up as if to say, he scored. From first to last, Christianity is an amazing offer of grace. If there's anything we should remember, it is this: God is the great giver. God is the great giver because God is love. And it is the very nature of love to give and to give and to give again. But too many people, it seems, take the other view of Christianity, that God is somehow all about demands, all about obeying rules and giving money and working at the local church. And their general view is that God is never satisfied, that God forever pushes people to sacrifice more and more, to give their all. Inevitably, though, when people who have this view have tried to fulfill those demands, they're unsuccessful. They're disappointed because they can never give enough, do enough, or be faithful enough ever to satisfy their concept of God, and thus be satisfied themselves. It's as if these people live under a cloud of duty and obligation, and also of failure. For them, the good life is the restricted life, confined and with human passion suppressed. But the misconception of this perspective is that it misses the experience of Christian grace. And without grace, there's no good news. There's only what I call dull religion. Without grace, Christian living is not about joy, but rather about dutiful obedience. And I don't know about you, but I think we're hardly inclined to give thanks for that. When the prodigal son came home, he probably expected to be punished for what he had done. At best, he hoped for a bit of leniency. But instead, he was overwhelmed by a love that was both undeserved and unexpected. He was surprised by grace. And he was thankful for it. 10 lepers trudging up a dusty road in the hot sun, dirt and grime filling their sores that cover their bodies. The skin under their arms is raw from the rough wooden crutches they must use in order to walk. And all the way, the 10 must endure the humiliation and the separation that comes with having to cry out, "Unclean, unclean," as they make their way up the road. As diseased lepers, they are commanded by law to warn anyone coming, that they are contagious, dirty, and to be avoided. But lo and behold, from around a bend in the road comes a Jewish rabbi, Son of God, Son of Man. And as he passes the 10 men, the rabbi says to them simply, "Go and let the priests examine you." And as the 10 walk away, they're healed. They're made clean. 10 men are surprised by grace. But as it turns out, only one is thankful for it. A teacher named Miss Thompson, she was surprised by grace. And I should say, very thankful for it. In this story about remembrance and forgiveness and hope, Miss Thompson was surprised by grace and by one of her pupils, Teddy Stollard. Teddy Stollard certainly qualified as one of the least. Disinterested in school, he was musty, he wore wrinkled clothes, his hair was never combed, unattractive, unfocused, unmotivated. He was just plain hard to like. And even though Miss Thompson said she loved everyone in her class, the same deep inside, she wasn't being truthful. Whenever she marked Teddy's papers, she derived a certain pleasure over putting an X beside an answer, or marking a great big F on the top with a red circle. Miss Thompson should have known better. After all, she had Teddy's record, which read, first grade, Teddy could do better. Mother is seriously ill, receives little attention at home. Second grade. Teddy's a good boy, but too serious. He's a slow learner. His mother died this year. Third grade. Teddy's very slow, but he's well behaved. His father shows no interest. Well, Christmas came, and the kids in Miss Thompson's class brought her gifts. They piled their presents on her desk and crowded around to watch her open them. And among the presents was one from Teddy Stollard. Miss Thompson was surprised that he had bought a gift, but he had. It was wrapped in brown paper and was held together with Scotch tape. On the paper were written the simple words, "For Miss Thompson, from Teddy." When she opened the present, out fell a kitschy rhinestone bracelet with half the stones missing and a bottle of cheap perfume. The other children began to giggle and to smirk over Teddy's gifts. But Miss Thompson at least had the sense to silence them by putting on the bracelet and some of the perfume. Holding her wrist up for the other children to smell, she said, "Doesn't it smell lovely?" At the end of the day, when school was over and the other children had left, Teddy lingered behind. Slowly, he came over to her desk and said softly, Miss Thompson, you smell just like my mother. And the bracelet looks pretty too. I'm glad you like my presents.